Welcome to the About podcast. My name is Ozzie Mancinelli of the PettyBreakers, and I'm here with
John McAllister of the PettyBreakers,
lead guitar extraordinaire. And we're sitting here BSing with the King Taylor Project folks. And thank you so much for having us on and for doing what you do. And,
So we just came hot off of a second rehearsal here with the Matchbox 20 tribute, and Davey just sat in on bass.
Thank you for that, by
which
the
was
way.
Awesome.
Oh, I killed it.
Badly, sorely missing the bottom
fabulous.
end. Absolutely.
Thank you guys for letting me be in the way like that. That was super fun.
Yeah. I am super excited because I am a fan of Matchbox 20, and I'm a fan of now PettyBreakers. Now that I finally get to see you
those
guys.
don't suck too bad.
Yeah, you guys rocked, man. Seriously.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That
I
was
heard
a
you guys
good show.
killed it at
Super tight. Yeah.
Belly Up.
Yeah.
It's always, we consider that our home venue, obviously. It's right down the street, and it usually packs, and the crowd is enthusiastic. They drink plenty, and they sound better when they drink plenty.
Because everything's dialed into your sound, like your self mix on stage is good pre-board. Like you can tell you guys have been playing.
We've been doing it a while,
Yeah.
and I think the self-discipline, volume, and just, not to, rag on other bands, but it's like, I think the difference is that almost everybody just wants to play all the time. And, if you break those songs down, you got to know when to play and when to lay back. And
Right.
I think that makes a big difference.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think we try to do that. I don't think we do it, perfectly, but, we try.
Oh, yeah. It does make that's one of the things we always, we play as a little trio. That's our tight, economical touring gigging
I
unit.
can't wait to come see you guys. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun.
But we get to see a lot of bands too, and especially, I don't know if it's more or less prevalent with original music or with cover and tribute, but there's certainly a lot of original bands out there that just have no concept of, you can't all just be playing at the same time.
Right.
You got to be playing.
You got to fill a space. You got to fill your space and let somebody else,
Yeah.
Fortunately, with tributes too, you have the luxury of referring to an already established band that probably has already written parts that fit.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But the trick is to listen to it, and pay attention, and pluck out your parts, and not just say, shit, I just feel like playing, so I'm just
Right.
We had, not to mention names, but a long time ago, we had a keyboard player who just wanted to riff and do his own stuff. And I'm thinking, okay, but now you're a cover band. You're not a tribute band. If you're going to do a tribute band, you got to put in the time. You got to, pluck out your parts, learn them, and play that. You know?
Yeah.
If we vamp a little bit, okay, but you just can't make it your own. If you make it your own, you're a cover band. You're no longer a tribute. You're doing a cover song. Yeah, you're not.
Right.
So that's the difference for our listeners between a cover band and a tribute band, because there is a major difference.
Oh yeah,
Right.
It's huge. And before we get too far, I'll give a little backstory. I know we'll go back and do intro bumpers, but Ozzie and I met doing tribute for Matchbox 20 with a previous group of guys, and I found out during that time that you ran this very successful and awesome sounding tribute for Tom Petty called the PettyBreakers. They're fantastic. You should definitely check them out.
One more time to kill the pain. I feel summer creeping in, and I'm tired of this town again.
We just saw a show recently at the Belly Up. We checked out a lot of video, and we were like, oh, that's rad. We were excited about it, and then we finally saw the live show, and man, it was incredible.
Oh yeah, alright. Take this baby, because alright. She was an American girl.
But anyway, that's how I know Ozzie, and now Ozzie's putting together a Matchbox 20 tribute with the guys, the same personnel from PettyBreakers. So that's pretty exciting.
Plus one more better with Josh Taylor on the lead guitar, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah,
It's exponential once you add Joshua Taylor, though.
no kidding.
It's not just +1.
No, I know. We
that's
follow
true.
him
He's a
around wherever he
multiplier.
goes.
that's a good point.
Force multiplier.
That's a good
all my
point.
Navy buddies out there. Force multiplier. It's a real honor, and it's fun. It's fun to be part of. Not to hog the mic too much, but we were talking about tribute the other day, and the thing that finally hit me, I think I appreciate tribute, but I think it really hit me hard after we came home from that show, and I think a lot about Sandy and her best friend Jessica when we do this material, because I realized, oh shit, that's what tribute is. It's people who like are attached to this music. It's for the fans who just love this music, and either geographically or touring schedule of the band or financially, like they can't, not everyone can pay, or some of the bands
Or
are
the
gone.
bands don't exist
Yeah,
anymore. Exactly.
they're gone. They're
Yeah.
not touring anymore.
Sure.
But even like Matchbox,
Sometimes the original band has the same amount of original members as a tribute band.
Oh, dude.
right? Yeah.
I got a story here.
Totally.
Yeah.
Danny, our bass player, went to see Foreigner, air quotes over here.
Air quotes.
All right. And so, he's kind of looking at the band thinking, geez, man, I think these guys have changed a lot, And so at the end of the night, they're introducing everybody, and all the names, none of them rang a bell. And when they got to the guitar player, they say, and tonight, substituting for Mick Jones is blah, blah, blah. So Mick Jones is the only original player. And that night, he took the night off. So there wasn't even an original member. One time I drove through a blizzard from La Crosse, Wisconsin to somewhere in Minnesota to see Bad Company.
Nice.
And the only original member was, I think, Simon Kirk, who's the drummer. And I thought, well, all right, And I think I was okay until he picks up a guitar and he stops playing drums and he sang Seagull, if you're familiar with that song. And it sounded nothing like you would expect it to sound if it were a Bad Company.
He was banking on the original member
Yeah.
doing a song being better than somebody who can do it better.
I suppose. And Simon, if you hear this by chance, I'm sorry, man, I love you, but stick to drums.
Yeah.
That's it. We talk crap about Simon on our podcast.
Oh,
all the
good,
time.
Every
good.
podcast.
Every episode is
Pretty
about.
much.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
That's our sign off.
Assuming that's a drummer. I'm going back on faulty memory here from way back. So anyway,
Yeah.
great
I-
band.
Yeah.
I want to know how you got into doing tribute, and if you have original projects, if you've had original projects. What's your musical backstory there?
Had original projects way back in the day, in my late teens, early 20s. Had several bands, that played up and down the Sunset Strip. On another time, when we have more time, I could tell you our Van Halen story. Remind me to tell you our Van Halen story sometime.
Whoa.
Anyway, we played with those guys and other bands up and down the Strip. Got close a couple times. It just wasn't meant to be. And in hindsight, it's probably a good thing because some of the things that we were into back then, if you had a whole lot of money and you could buy more of those things that you shouldn't have been doing, it probably wouldn't have been a good mix. So
I shouldn't have brought the Coke then.
yeah,
is what
well, no,
you're
now we're mature.
saying.
Now we can. We're more mature now. No, but yeah. So after a while, when you realize it just wasn't going anywhere, you figured the corporate thing starts to look pretty good, and so started focusing on making money.
Yeah.
And when in 2008, I had a consulting business, and pretty much everything just crashed, came tumbling down. I figured, well, what can I do now? There's no a job to be had. So I figured, oh, hell. I started doing Ronnie Wood for a Stones tribute. And that was cool for a while. But after a while, it kind of felt like, I was playing with the real Mick and the real Keith. Only I wasn't making nearly as much money as the real Ronnie. So I figured, fuck this. Yeah. And in fact, we were playing the Belly Up one time with this particular band, and a Tom Petty tribute opened for us.
Okay.
And I've been a huge Tom Petty fan ever since I heard Breakdown in 1976, 77, whatever that was. And I thought, okay, I've got to check these guys out, And here is this band, and again, I I guess I shouldn't preface it by saying this. It sounds like I like trashing guys. No, but these guys were playing everything, through Les Pauls, through Marshalls, up to 11, basically, even free falling. It's just, from the beginning to end. I thought, well, that's an interesting take. But again, it wasn't really a tribute because they were kind of doing their own heavy metal version of Tom Petty kind of thing, or at least hard rock version. I thought there's got to be a good Petty tribute out there, so let me just start checking. And I found some decent ones, but I didn't find one that did what we talked about earlier, breaking down the parts, sticking to your parts, and not overplaying and stuff. And I thought, well, maybe there's an opportunity here. And actually, my very first call was to this guy right here, my guitar player, John McAllister.
Gestures towards John.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, and I figured if he says no, then I'm screwed because I can't think of anybody else that I'd rather have fill that role. I mean, he fills it perfectly, And fortunately, he said yes, and then we just started filling the pieces, and it just kind of came together. A little painful at times. We, for the time, we kind of felt like for a little while we felt like kind of Spinal Tap-ish. It's like drummers kept fucking disappearing and exploding.
Spontaneously stopping.
Yeah, we lost track of how many drummers we went
That's
through.
why the plexiglass thing in front of the kit.
Wow.
We don't want any brain matter to explode again. But so now we've had this particular lineup for years, and it's solid. It's good.
That's awesome. So what kind of venues did you guys start playing? I can't imagine that Belly Up's like a 500.
It's a 600
capacity.
600 cap. So I can't imagine that's the starting point.
Our very first show was actually a talent competition at Viejas Casino at the Dreamcatcher
Nice.
Theater. So it was in front of probably close to 1,000 people, I would say.
Wow.
And we made it through the first 2 rounds, and then we got knocked out. Actually, I felt comfortable with where we got because my wife was pregnant at the time, and the final knockout round, right, that when we got eliminated, my daughter, I think, was born the night before, and I hadn't slept. My wife hadn't slept. I hadn't slept for 2 days.
Oh, wow.
And no, I mean, we performed the way we were going to do it. I mean, we did what we did, but I thought, oh shit, this is great. Now I can go home and I can collapse and spend time with my little girl and my wife and stuff. And it was just perfect
fortunately,
timing.
right after a baby's born, you get a lot of sleep.
Yeah.
That's what I heard. But
Yeah.
that wasn't quite the case for me. Yeah, exactly. So that was our first show, and then I can't remember what the next one after that was, but I think the Belly Up kind of came close after. It wasn't.
Chad came and attended a rehearsal.
He came here. He sat here, the buyer for the Belly Up.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
He
Chad
came. I mean,
here.
obviously we're right down the
Yeah.
street from
Yeah.
the Belly Up. So he came and he sat and he listened to 3 songs. He goes, "Oh, yeah, that's good enough," So thank you. And he left. And a short time after that, we got our first Belly Up date.
Wow.
That's
No.
cool.
awesome.
What
Yeah.
a cool guy.
Well, that is one of the cool things I think about tribute is that it seems like, with original music, a lot of times there's so much good and bad original music out there that trying to figure out what people are gonna care about is part of the the concern with draw for venue owners. But if you're doing tribute, and what you got to do is demonstrate that you're not a dickhead and that you're going to do it well and you're going to show up on time and but you're going to execute the music really well. But they know there's a market for the music, so that's kind of cool. You can get to that point where you're giving fans of that music a great show.
There is a
quickly.
bit of a built-in audience,
Sure.
and obviously we try to capitalize on their fame to draw people to our shows. But still, you'd be surprised how many times these buyers are influenced by their own bias. We, for example, M15 and Corona is a typical case in point. I kept hounding this guy, come on, man, check out the promo video. Yeah, I saw it. It's good. I mean, it's good. He says, but Tom Petty, who's Tom Petty? And I was like, dude, seriously? So anyway, reluctantly, he hired us, and at the very end of the night, he says, holy shit. He says, I didn't think Tom Petty had that many hits, but shit, when you guys started playing, I thought, oh, fuck, I know that song. Oh, I know that song. I know that song. So the whole night, and we played a 2-hour set, right? I think it was a 2-hour set that we played that night. Yeah. And so he says, well, I wasn't a Petty fan before you guys came, but damn, I'm a PettyBreaker fan now.
That's awesome.
That's great.
So, but sometimes you have to break down that particular bias because I think, shit, I'm not a big fan. Who cares what you like? I mean, put it out there. People will buy a ticket and come.
Man,
in.
that's
the same thing as original music.
Right.
I mean, that's the
Pretty
same
much.
thing. You're fighting bias of whoever the talent buyer is.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
They have their
electric guitar?
favorites.
Yeah,
We
right.
get a lot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That when we walk in, or
a
we
lot
say
of the circuit that we play in tends to be not necessarily solo singer-songwriters,
But acoustic,
but
for sure.
typically
Acoustic.
acoustic duos, trios. So we show up with an electric guitar and everybody's
And they
nervous.
freak.
They're
Oh, yeah.
You're not
nervous.
going to be too loud, are you? And we're
We're,
like, no, we
we're
actually
way
know how to
quieter
work.
than probably
quieter than
90% of the solo.
instruments.
most of the acoustic
Yeah.
acts. I mean,
Wow.
we mix real well, and
Yeah.
we respect the space. But yeah, you're fighting the same. So it sounds like you're actually fighting the same battle.
I think so. I
Yeah.
think it's it's the same animal that you're dealing with. I guess.
Man, I've never considered the tribute thing as actually a service for the original artist before. I've never looked at it that way. But I know that my perception's been changed. I've become a fan of bands by seeing other people cover them or other tribute bands.
Yeah.
I've never thought of it that way.
It's interesting. I mean, people ask us all the time if we know or think that Tom Petty is aware of us. Well, I don't know, and I don't really care. But I mean, I have to believe that he might be. Ron Blair, the bass player, the founding and current member of the bassist, lives here in Carlsbad. In 2013, we did a benefit here at the Belly Up for Hurricane Sandy victims, and so we reached out to everybody we knew. John is good friends with Joe Bonamassa. Dave, our keyboard player, played with the Gin Blossoms, so he brought in Jesse Valenzuela. A friend of ours, Rick Gould, knows Keith Scott, guitar player for Bryan Adams. So anyway, we
Andy Fraser.
and Andy Fraser
Wow, man.
from Free, the bass player for Free.
Wow.
So I mean, we had a fantastic night. Raised I think about almost $15,000 for the charity. I mean, just drop in the bucket compared to what they actually needed, but it was something. And the news stations were there covering it, and it was interesting. I mean, we have people like Joe Bonamassa and Ron Blair on microphone saying, yeah, it's kind of cool playing with a tribute band, and Ron, what it was that he said, he goes, I guess it's kind of weird being in the original band and playing with a tribute band. He goes, but damn, they're good musicians and they're good songs, so what's not to like, so
They sat in with us for what?
he
dozen songs or
he
something
played
like that?
yeah he
Wow.
played guitar and sang on one song, and then said, hey, while you're here, you want to play a
That's
couple songs?
awesome.
And go, sure. So he played like at least 8 or 10 songs on bass. And talk about the ultimate professional. Before he even set foot on there, he came here and rehearsed. So
That's incredible,
yeah.
man. It was so. Yeah, it wasn't. There was no. He wasn't. What do you call it? Big leaguing you or anything? Just a dude wanted to play
just-
music.
He's just a guy.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
incredible.
That's
Yeah.
funny too how somebody like that, he was probably more than happy to play on a few songs, but I know I would feel so timid. I'd feel like, oh, hey, Gordon Ramsay, would you since you're here, why don't you just fucking make me something?
You just
making
hop
people
in the
work.
kitchen and
It's just funny
Get to work.
that playing music straddles that line
Right.
of fun and work
Right.
so
Yeah.
much that you never quite know which side somebody's on.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
don't come to one of our shows because we'll ask you to come up and play.
Right.
Right.
Saying, that's what,
Well, if we do come, we'll wear mustaches and beards and
No, I've been
Groucho
saying,
glasses. Yeah.
if you guys come to a show, I'm going to make you make us a meal.
I'm
sorry.
Wow.
John's a great cook.
Clear?
John makes mean guacamole. Is that right?
I know. I tasted it.
That's right.
Last time we were here.
That's
It was
right.
Delightful.
Yeah, it is kind of cool when you think of tribute as doing, like you said, maybe a service to the band if it's done well, a service to the original band, but really even more than that, a service to the fans. When you do it,
Yeah.
I think about watching somebody. That's what I'm most excited about, is to watch somebody get excited because you play a song that means a shitload to them from a time in their life or something, and they can really connect with the music, and you're playing it, and when you're really doing it well, and the experience is, I mean, at its peak, it's the same, right? I mean, that's hopefully if you do tribute at its peak,
There's a magic,
right?
that
It's the
happens
same as going almost
where that energy transfer from the audience to the band and back continues to go, and it just reaches an epic level.
Yeah,
And that's why we all do this.
that's pretty amazing.
An interesting, point is that some of these tributes actually pluck some of the original bands. They pluck tribute guys
Oh yeah.
to fill.
Sure.
David Lee Roth hired a bunch of Eddie's types, for his tour.
Especially with YouTube now.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, got their singer that
Yes,
way.
Boston,
right.
picked up a singer that way, and
Even the Doors.
yeah.
The guy
That's
from
cool.
Wild Child.
Wild
I mean, it's
Child.
wild.
Jim-
But as a
They should've
tribute,
just gone
we're
with,
we're basically
Val
a
Kilmer.
commercial for the
I
for
was
the
gonna say,
regular.
Are you hoping that Tom Petty dies?
No.
Or-
Yeah, somehow, no, not at all. 'Cause
No,
I think I'd probably pick the
Tom,
worst
no.
band for that, because if Tom Petty retires, just say, fuck it. Let's call it a day. They ain't going to be looking. Maybe a Mike Campbell, so John might. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
If Mike Campbell decides to retire, John might have a future.
in.
But
So Kyle, I know you briefly left for about a year or so there, and I'm glad to see you back. But if you leave again, I'm coming for that spot,
Josh
man.
is gunning for you, baby.
You just have to work on wearing suspenders with no shirt, though.
No, I don't have Kyle's, but Kyle's an in shape dude. I'd have
You could
to
pull it off.
lose about
Yeah.
40 pounds.
You
and
could pull
Yeah,
Start
but
start doing
you
yoga.
got to fix your hair though.
That's true. I got to get the
Bigger.
what is it?
A
A
little
pompadour,
longer.
more or less. That
A
he
little longer, yeah.
yeah.
You're halfway there.
That's cool.
So you guys must be excited. You're getting ready to hit the road, yeah?
We are.
That's going to be fun.
We're always ready. We're
Yeah,
always like on the precipice of a tour. So that's
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Well,
about you guys.
Yeah, exactly. Enough about us.
How did you get into tribute, John? I know you.
Ozzie called me, and he just pitched the idea to me, because he and I had been in a band before and had known each other a long time. We go back a long ways, and one of the things I've always liked about playing with Ozzie is that he's got a very good ear, and
Only
he's very
one.
musical.
The other one sucks. The other one sucks.
There's definitely one he can't hear out of the other, but he's okay.
the right side of him at all times.
But-
Yeah.
He and I, met doing jam sessions, and one of the things I kind of detest jam sessions and blues things and all that kind of stuff. To me, that's just like a waste of time, because everybody wants to step over each other and it's this crazy thing. And so these guys keep saying, "Hey, Ozzie's gonna come. He's a great bass player and singer." I'm like, okay, great. The fucker never shows. I mean, time after time after time, I'm thinking this guy's just vapor. He doesn't exist. These guys are just pulling my leg. Finally, Ozzie shows, and he's got a guitar in his hand. I'm like, what the hell? We already have 3 guitar players. And he plugs in, and he's an amazing guitar player and singer. And I'm just like, oh man, this guy's
You
got
can
it
tell
going
I pay
on.
him a lot.
And the thing I liked was that he listens when he plays, as do I. And so he and I were never stepping on each other. We were listening to what the other guy was playing and playing something that was complementary, rather than just me. Right. And so I really liked that. And so, he calls me up and pitches me on this Petty thing. And I'm thinking, what does he need me for? He's a great guitar player. So I said to him, "So what do you want to do? Play
I gotta
bass?"
be Tom Petty, man.
He's like, "No, you idiot! I want you to play guitar."
It's
Said,
good to be
okay.
the king.
Yeah, I'm Tom Petty.
I'm-
Come on.
I'm game. I didn't know what the plan was, but I just figured that, he's super talented, and so he's got that covered. So I don't know what he needs me for. But
Speaking of these jam sessions, I remember we won't mention any names because we don't want to hurt any feelings.
Right.
But
We might bleep them out.
that's
It
right.
sound like you said
Oh,
something
okay.
really
Then
dirty.
in that case, remember when? No. No, we had a jam session here with one particular gentleman who, didn't know when to stop. So it's like he'd be the first to take a solo and kind of the last person to take a solo. Okay, can we end this now? And so I never came back after that with him.
yeah,
But yeah, no, this room has seen a lot of.
But later we refined it, and the thing is, you start to meet people, and you meet better and better players, and you just keep refining the group that you're playing with.
Yeah.
And the cool thing with Ozzie was that, a solo break would come up and he'd look at me and nod, and I'd look at him and nod, and it's like, no, you go, no, you go, no, you go. So we have this thing, we're fighting it out as to who's going to, you take this space, because I'm sick of hearing my chops. I want to hear his.
I picture all of those rehearsals as ending with you guys not being able to escape the room because you keep trying to hold the door for each other on the way out.
No, after you. No, after you. Yeah. I think
that is a Portlandia sketch, right?
Yeah. Is it?
It got that way, but I've played with very few other guitar players where, it was that way. Where it's like, hey, how much space do you need?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, guitar players are the worst offenders.
Tell me about
it.
Well, that's why it stands out so much when a guitar player isn't that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was shocked and had figured, this is a guy I'd like to play some more music with.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Understands the concept of space.
Space.
Bowie's in space.
We're speaking of space on May 4th, too.
What's that?
May 4th.
Today's
That's right, May
Star
the
Wars
4th
Day.
be with you.
May the 4th.
Yes.
You must be aware of your space.
Music on this episode provided by PettyBreakers.
And we are actually doing this from the home studio of Mr. John McAllister. So thank you very much for hosting this episode.
So I shouldn't have brought the Coke then.